Okay, I was just thinking it's
There we go.
perfect. Thank
I
you.
thought that was already set up for me and I didn't miss the little button in the corner. Okay, so I don't have to go over all that again, right?
No, I think we're good.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So Tanner, back to you.
Thank you. I've heard a lot about open space through the updates at Planning Board, and in particular the Saliba property, which interested me quite a bit. So excited to join and be part of the conversation.
Thanks for joining us. And I already gave the quick update on Conservation Commission with new members on the Conservation Commission. They will have a new representative to replace Bob, hopefully at our next meeting. And as we get down to the end of this meeting, we'll try to talk about a schedule for our next meeting. The next item 4, is the Stump Cove Lake Shirley parcel of Reservoir Road follow-up. Where we left that conversation was Paula primarily. Whoop, Dave Pasios wants to come in. There we go. I'll let him in. Second. Hi, Dave. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Paula and I talked a little about this. She actually was the one that was spearheading this effort. I'm going to have to go in and talk to town council myself. Where we left this conversation was we, the ad hoc committee, have some funds available to us from Brandon. Remind me what the name of the company was that made the donation.
Little League Farm.
It was the Bright Farms.
Thank you.
Organization.
So we have some funds available from the Bright Farm organization to do some work with the Open Space Committee. One of the things that we've talked about as a committee is using some of that money to clear up the title on a piece of land on Reservoir Road by what's called Stump Cove. We believe it's town property, but it doesn't have a clear title right now. And it'd be a great access for kayaks, maybe a couple parking spaces at the most, to keep people from having to park on Reservoir Road to launch their kayaks in Stump Cove. It would be a great way to get into the lake. So we've had discussions about that for about a year now. I think it was a year ago we had that big meeting with a lot of residents over at the meeting room. So Paula had talked to town council. We got a kind of preliminary estimate on what it would take for a title attorney to help us work through and clear the title on that property. And we've talked as a committee, maybe we can vote as a committee tonight. We talked as a committee about using some of that Bright Farms money for that particular effort. We don't have a firm contract value to do that. That's something that I'm going to work with Paula and town council and see who town council recommends to do that, because I don't think town council will be doing it. See what title attorney is recommended to us and come back to this committee with a firm cost estimate from a title attorney. But I didn't know whether any of the other members or Dave, whether we had any further discussion that we wanted on this particular item.
Strikes me like the reasonable thing to do, and in order to, but obviously first we need to know kind of what the expense level is,
Right.
And the level of effort will be, as I think we've discussed before, as the town had previously done, and I think Paula may have forwarded it to the committee, with the prior title work that the town had done many moons ago associated with the Lake Shirley Dam, which was voluminous, and I think they stopped at $50,000 back then. And they were using a big Boston firm to do the work, and so it may not have been as cost effective to do it, but it would be good to have an understanding based on what we know about the title have them be able to take what we know and then give us an estimate based on what we don't know and
Yeah.
what they think the process would be to clarify. So, and I might add that scope, we might ask that scope to include recommendations for how to proceed if we can't prove clear title.
Okay,
So, action to quiet title or some other activity, some other legal method for next steps for the town to be able to actually, if it's owner unknown or if it's some other, it's in some other sort of title limbo. Okay, it's good to know that it's in title limbo. Now what? And so to have their professional recommendation on what the next steps would be important for us to know.
okay.
Mike, I'd rather defer to your members first. I do have a couple of comments, but your members
Okay,
have more priority over this than I do.
okay. Anna?
Phone went off, but I'm sorry, what was,
I thought you had a question or a comment about this particular topic.
oh, sorry. Yes, I think when Paula brought this, she mentioned something that she had an estimate, rough estimate of about $2,000. And I think we had sort of agreed that seemed like a reasonable amount.
Mhm.
She did have something written about that. So, I think basically what I'm saying, I think we had agreed that estimate was something we were comfortable with. And I don't recall if we took a vote.
Yeah, I don't think we took a vote to move forward.
Right.
I think we discussed it, but I don't think, I thought that the estimate she had gotten was not necessarily from the title attorney that was going to be doing the work. It was an estimate that she had gotten, I thought, from town council, who thought it might cost a certain amount of money, but I'd feel much more comfortable, identifying the title attorney and then getting a cost estimate from that attorney.
For
That's-
for the purpose of moving the process forward,
Mhm.
since we are already talking about this this is not something I believe we have to go to bid because I think the cost level. Should we, since we have quorum, maybe make a vote of a amount that we are comfortable so that we don't then have to wait. Once we get an estimate, we have to wait another 30, 60 days, just as as a way to expedite maybe the next step, because I think a lot of our decisions would be dependent on that the results of that.
Okay, Brandon? Did you want to say something? Because I was going to ask Anna to make a motion to that effect.
Yeah, I think I'm good with that.
Okay. Tanner, do you want to say anything first?
Yeah, I guess I have a couple of concerns. One is that my limited experience with properties around Lake Shirley and also Hickory Hills, oftentimes you can end up with parcels that are in this situation where they don't have a clear title. And so I know with the Lake Shirley Dam, it became a little bit of a quagmire, honestly. And from a procurement standpoint, it all really needs to run through the town manager because
Mhm.
she's chief procurement officer for the town. And I have no problem, entertaining a motion to approve a sum of money to be spent on this effort. But I think it'd be better if we had something a little more concrete with a good understanding of, where this thing is going to go, because if it exceeds the amount of money that the committee has available, then I would assume, rely on the town to complete the process or get to a spot where we try to find another way to clear up the title, or at least have clear enough possession of the property that we could move something forward. So I'd hate to start spending money and not get a tangible result out of it. That would be my concern. So.
Okay,
And I mean, just to
Involved.
echo a little bit of what you were saying there, Tanner, my experience with the same is sort of the same in terms of where, the title could conceivably go. I was surprised when town council said it was as potentially as cheap as it was, but they seemed to think they had a title examiner that could do that work. But likewise, I'm skeptical that the last thing I'd want to do is spend the $10,000 that we have available and get absolutely nowhere.
Right.
End up exactly where we are today. And so if it's a $10,000 effort with a very questionable outcome, I'm probably not supportive of that. But if it is a $2,000 investment and the title examiner feels like they can get to at least to a point to know what the issue is and how we could conceivably resolve it, that to me is decent money spent. But we need to know, we actually need somebody to tell us, what they think it is. So I tend to agree with you, Tanner, on the approach. I hear you, Anna, in terms of wanting to not waste any more time. But at the same time, that parcel's not going anywhere. And our $10,000 is a limited pool of money that we could, conceivably leverage in a better way for the town's benefit. If we are just going to end up spinning our wheels in the mud.
So Brandon, I'm not sure I heard you, but would you, we did have a high level estimate of, anywhere from, I think what I recall was 1,800 to 2,500, something that would get us something. Are you saying you don't think right now is the right time to make that motion to move forward? It was unclear to me where.
Yeah, sorry. So if we're basically approving a sum of funds for a project that was estimated by somebody who's not actually going to do the work. And so, if we are going to if town council would hire outside counsel or outside title examiner to do the work, it does seem to me to make sense to have somebody else review it and take a look at it and give us an actual estimate that we can make a decision on. That does seem to make sense to me.
Okay, so therefore I won't make any motion right now.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess we'll just have to wait until you have that meeting and maybe report back.
Okay. Dave, did you want to weigh in on this matter?
Yeah, I have to admit I've missed quite a few of your meetings over the past few months. I've been really busy with the other committees that I'm slowly pulling back from. But I still have one question, and I believe I've heard a little bit through the grapevine that you have discussed this and dismissed this property for a few reasons, but I haven't had a clear picture as to why the Parmenter property was pushed aside for this same purpose. It's a piece of property that Lunenburg owns clear title to. It has direct access to the waterfront in that cove that it hits the lake at, the reservoir at, I'm sorry. Straight pull-in parking from the road. You could put the width of it, I believe you can get 3 or 4 spaces. Yes, the pitch of the land from the road to the water is a bit steep, but there are access points in, I've heard Shirley and a number of other towns that are steep like that, and they've set up a roller system or something like that that allowed car top units like kayaks and canoes to be rolled down to the water. I don't want to skew what you guys are doing. I understand, there may be some other reasons for the access through that point, also connecting to other conservation land. But I think for that $10,000 could open up that Parmenter property and be ready to roll. So I'm not telling you, I'm just asking what set it aside. If anybody can tell me.
You is going to be the deaf me. I don't think it is set aside. I think what we'd like to do is explore all of our options. And we think that the Lake Shirley or Shirley Road or the parcel in question is it has some interesting benefits to it that the Parmenter Road parcel doesn't have. And, that is, a bit more remote from abutters and it's not right in people's dooryard. So that's definitely a benefit. The grade is definitely another consideration. There's potential for better parking and better access, off-road access at that location. It's also a location that is currently used for car top access. People park roadside there and launch kayaks and canoes. I've done it myself. So it is, it has its own benefits there as well. So, but what we'd like to do is, and it shows up as town property in the assessor's data. So what is the best town property on Lake Shirley to consider for development? And we can't really make that assessment unless, and we know which one of these parcels is actually the best, but if we don't know who owns it, then we can't really make that assessment. So that's where we get to on that. But Parmenter is definitely still on the list, but it has its own challenges.
Yeah, my only comment, and I'm totally satisfied with that answer, and I figured you guys had thought it through and discussed it. And that is that if you get mired in the Reservoir Road process, as you've been talking about this evening, that bring that one forward and see what that flushes out of the trees if you start to seriously discuss it. So thank you.
That makes sense. And it should be noted too, is that, before we engage in any of that, you may be aware, we had a public hearing on this topic a number of months ago. And there has to be a very public process that is involved that's tries to build consensus around this. As you can imagine, just the idea of that the town is even sniffing around and thinking about this and having some level of public access there is touches a nerve with a lot of people. And not surprisingly, changes is difficult to manage sometimes. So, there's a long way to go, I think, before there's a public access point on Lake Shirley. There would have to be, many long nights and many hard conversations, I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brendan, for relating our discussions in the past year. You did it really well.
I hope that was accurate.
It was.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, if that's it for the fourth item, let's move on to the next, which is the appointment to the Economic Development Committee. And Anna, you've expressed an interest in taking that appointment on?
Yes. So, when I first joined Parks, I was an appointed member because I wasn't quite sure how the time commitment and effort. Last year I had an election of 1 year, and this year there was another election of 3 years. So I feel like I fully signed up for it. So I'm very interested in parks. I think in recreation and everything that comes with open space. I think we have a very strong conservation lands in Lunenburg, and I value that a lot. And the question as we move forward with development for me is how can we keep developing in a smart way, and that incorporates the things that are essential to a good life. So I do enjoy the idea of the Economic Development Committee, because I think more, I think for a time Lunenburg used to say no to everything. And then we get slammed with development that we don't want. So I do like the idea of making a plan for the kind of development we want to see, similar to how we have our open space plan that was, that we have had it for a couple of decades now. And I hope that I do have a background in business. That's kind of what I do, but I also have a passion for open space and parks and recreation. I think those things are essential to a good life. So I put forward my name for that spot because I would like to see economic development in Lunenburg to ease in some of our tax burden, but I think as we do that, we need to keep it in mind, what makes a good life. And I think a good life to live in Lunenburg. And I think, having open space is something that it's vital. So I would be there, having my background in business, but also with my heart and open space. So if the committee support, I would be honored to serve there on our behalf.
Mike, I would like to
Thank-
make a motion that
Yeah.
we appoint Anna as our representative to the Economic Development Committee.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tanner. Because we're on Facebook or whatever we're on, I'm gonna go around and say, I will vote aye. Brandon,
Aye.
Tanner,
Aye.
and Anna, you can vote for yourself.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much for volunteering to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, next, do we have any other items that did not hit the agenda? Any committee comments or concerns that you'd like to bring forward?
No, I'll just apologize for my dogs and their outburst.
Okay, hearing none. We'll move on. Public comment. I think Dave is gone at this point. Do we have any other members of the public there? If so, please raise your hand or chime in. Seeing none. Let's talk about a meeting schedule. We've had a tough time combining schedules. Does a Thursday night work, folks? I mean, I can have a night meeting any and every day of the week, so it's up in the air for me. I've got, some nights I have 4 of them, which I'm not sure how I'm going to do, but does Thursday night work for you folks in general?
Yep.
Yeah.
It does work for me. Yep.
Okay, Brandon, you're muted.
Typing the notes, so I'm trying to be polite and not have the
Okay.
tippity tap of the keyboard in the background. So Thursdays work for me. I know we've had Tuesdays in the past. That's works for me. It's generally fine,
Okay.
as long as
Yeah,
I have enough notice.
I'm on a string of Tuesday night meetings with a lot of the boards that I present to. I've only got a couple of them right now that are Thursday nights. So if we could keep it to a Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays are like death for me right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, come my daughter's fall sports season, depending on what their schedule is, I may have to revise my availability depending on
I
that.
think we're going to wind up doing this every month because
Of course.
it just constantly changes. Tanner?
Thursdays actually work well for me. I
Okay.
have inning on Mondays, and so to do a Tuesday meeting would be tough.
All right, so let's keep it to Thursday. 7:30 seems to be a decent time. Give everybody time to get home from work, get a little dinner before you jump on a call. I love the 6:30 meetings when I walk in the house at 6:15. So let's keep it at 7:30. I'm going to propose that we meet on July 14th, the second Thursday of July. Given that this is the second Thursday of June, let's just keep with that. Does July 14th work for folks?
Yep.
Nobody's on vacation? Okay. I know August is. gonna be
vacation the
rough.
next day for me, so I may
So-
be preoccupied with packing, but but I can make it work.
Well, we could do the 7th. I just didn't know with the July 4th week, if that was gonna be a tougher week, you know? So,
If the 14th works for folks, I can make that work.
yeah, let's do the 14th. So we'll do July 14th and we'll do it again at 7:30 by Zoom. How's that? Okay. Short and sweet. We've been on for just about an hour. Anything else before we adjourn the meeting for the evening?
Would we want to set the second meeting out as well?
We
Just
can
so
try
we have
that.
2 on the calendar.
Yeah, good idea.
I know, summer vacation schedules being what they are, that may be just throwing a wrench in things anyway, but
So August 11th would be the second Thursday in August, if we want to stick to a monthly schedule, which I think we probably want to do right now. Does August 11th cause any heartburn with anybody?
No, it works for me.
works
Okay.
for me as well.
Yeah,
That works.
I'm on vacation the week before, so that works for me. I'll come back nice and rested from Olympic National Park, so. I'll be
Oh,
all ready to
nice.
go. Yeah.
I love that place.
Okay, so we're gonna do it on July 14th and August 11th, both at 7:30. I'll let Marjorie know. So she gets on the calendar. I haven't seen the posting for office hours with town council, but once I do, I'll try to jump on that and grab a slot. And I'll also talk to Heather about this idea as well, town manager. Okay, so
Great.
that's on
Thank
my
you.
agenda, hopefully before the next meeting, right? Anything else before we all recover from having to watch the Celtics till midnight last night or whatever it was?
You too,
Yeah, I was snoring at that point.
huh?
No, we're good. The meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much for attending. I appreciate you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Sorry for being late.
No problem.
No worries. Talk
Good
soon.
night, you all.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.